And just notice as you walk, what happens in the hips? What is the action that you're noticing? There is flexion, like going forward, extension. Any movements in the pelvis as you walk. So the pelvis has a lot more movements that we think that it does, and that can get really sticky. Now I invite you to come to a still stance. And as you stand, I'll stand from the side. Again, always just start from the feet and notice, am I leaning forward today? Am I leaning backwards today? And how does your knees feel? So I should say first, I got ahead of myself. Bring the weight evenly on your feet so that you're not heavy on the feet, but not heavy on the back of the heel, more like the sort of the front of the heel. Let the body, the weight of the body go down here. And keep a little bit of softness in the knees so they're not banged out or banged back, hyperextended. And then the pelvis, is it tipping forward? So that's an anterior tilt. That can happen if the hip flexors are tight, so as hint, hint. Or is it tucking under? Is there a lot of tension in the lower abdomen so we feel like a very shy puppy? And that, again, you can see what happens to the curvature of my spine. So that's one of the movements, the anterior and posterior tilt. Ideally, we want a completely neutral pelvis, tailbone down, and the front and the back, the anterior and posterior iliac bumps are at the same height. So you can reach with your thumbs from the front to the back. And do they sit equally? Now from that, and this is, the next one is a really good one to do in a mirror. Does one hip sit higher than the other? And it can be a little challenging to feel because we're so used to feeling what's going on in our body. One thing you may notice is that you have more weight on one foot than the other. If there's scoliosis, that's often the tendency. Hey, Jenny, I see you signed on. I don't have a picture of you. So again, I always respect if that's your choice. And now from here, so we have front, back, lateral. Then we also have the nutation. The hips can move independently. It's a very small move, but this has to happen when we walk. One shift forward slightly, the other side slips back. So if you bend your knees alternately, can you feel a little bit of forward and backward movement? Again, it's not a big movement, but it's necessary for a healthy walk. This is 6 movements. That's a lot of business going on. So now let's come on to our back body. And as you come into that sloppy shavasana, support the head. If the head is tilted backwards with the chin pointing up towards the sky so that the back of the neck is not strained. Notice before you look, does the legs roll out evenly? And then take a peek. If one leg rolls out more than the other, then there is some tightness, uneven, and since we have a dominant side and a non-dominant side, things do change in our bodies. Also notice, are you oriented more onto one hip than the other? Put in plain English, does one butt cheek lay flatter than the other? Are you listing to one side? And where on the sacrum do you feel pressure? Is it towards the tailbone? This would indicate some tension around the low back. Or is it more up towards the top of the sacrum where the low back is flattened? That could indicate tension in the lower abdomen. So these are the red light and green light reflexes that we are referring to. And from here, let's bend up the knees. Let your hands come to the lower abdomen. And before you begin to change the breath, see if you can catch a neutral look at what it is. And the irony, of course, is the minute we start paying attention to our breath, we change it. Where does the breath go? The 4 quadrants, 2 lower and 2 upper, but we can separate this and get a little bit more skillful and call it 8 quadrants. So we have 4 on the front and 4 on the back. And as you breathe in and out, what quadrants are receiving the breath? If the chest is rising and the abdomen drawing down on the in-breath, sometimes called a reverse breathing, just take note of it. It's like, okay, I see what's happening here. And then we begin to now apply the diaphragmatic breathing, lower abdomen, inviting it to fill on the in-breath, and that can feel really difficult. So taking a breath in, however it is, and then exhale fully. Let the abdomen pull in. And then take another breath in. And again, exhale forcefully. Draw the belly in to help empty the lungs. So we're not in flattening, we're just in the contraction mode. Let's do that one more time. And then notice if the breath became a little bit easier in the lower abdomen. Feel a little bit more fullness maybe. How we breathe, you hear me say it often, is probably the single most important action. I forget who said this, but don't confuse busyness with result. And it can feel like we're not doing much of anything when we're doing this deep internal work. But this is what creates a healthy and balanced foundation for all other movement. As you breathe in and out, begin to pay attention to not just the lower abdomen, but is there a sense of the breath moving into the pelvis? As that great big piston of the diaphragm contracts and literally pushes all the contents, that does not include the heart and the lungs, but everything else gets pushed down. It makes sense that we should feel something in the pelvis and the pelvic floor. If we are not sensing anything, why might that be? And this is subtle. On the out breath, We feel this gentle moving in of the belly. Now, can you also invite or sense that lifting of the pelvic floor? There is a sense of sits bones moving together and the pubic bone and the tailbone narrowing, moving closer together. When the pelvic floor is locked up, it directly affects our hip mobility. So we need to have this subtleness of the pelvic floor so that we are not overworking the hips at the bottom of the basket, supports the rotation and the movement of the legs. If the pelvic floor is grippy and tight, we can get grippy around the hips as well, around the sacrum and the low back. And it just begins to invite a whole host of upward things. So as you breathe in, belly expand, pelvic floor soften. As you breathe out, pelvic floor narrows and the belly moves in. So we'll begin to invite the muscular movement into the arch and flatten. So as you inhale next, let the low back arch with that fullness in the belly and the pelvic floor. And as you exhale, relax the muscles. I'm not going to add the pelvic floor action until we do the flattening. So take a breath in for nothing. And as you exhale, now draw the belly down and up, and then draw the pelvic floor up. This is not your glutes, FYI. And then slowly relax. They may try to help out. Let's take a buffer breath. And we'll do this again. On the next in-breath, arch. Low back contract, everything opens to the breath. And we exhale, we release the contraction on the low back. Slowly and evenly. No force, no strain, no pain. Breath in for nothing, and then as you exhale, lower abdomen draws down and up, and pelvic floor narrowing of these four bony parts, sits bones, and tailbone to pubic bone. And then slowly release those actions. Let's take another buffer breath. Notice as you flatten and contract pelvic floor and lower abdomen, if you're using your feet, are you pushing into the floor to facilitate? It's one of those ways the body can be a little helpful, a little sneaky. As if I'll just do it for you. So let's do it one more time and notice. On the in-breath, arch again. And then exhale, we float back to neutral. Take a breath in for nothing. And exhale and contract. Lower abdomen, pelvic floor. And relaxing. All right, we're going to do that 2 more times, but I'm going to let you do it following your own cueing. Take that buffer breath in between. That way you won't feel rushed. So it's 3 complete breath cycles for 1 round. An in-breath and out-breath is the breath cycle. A buffer breath in between. It's really important. And then once you finish, letting go. Sliding the legs out. Pause. Breathing in and out. And assess. Notice. So assessing is a neutral event, not a judgment. So joyous and kind curiosity. And we'll bend the legs up again. And then walk your right leg off your mat. So out to the side. It's going to be to the outside of your right hip. So knee is bent up. Lifting the front of your foot up. So we're going to be pivoting on the heel. So we'll take a little trial run here as you draw the knee down towards the midline. Just lift the head and look. Does your thigh stay parallel to the other thighs? You're not doing a cross or over. And then this will be our starting point. So keeping the leg down, so my thigh is parallel. It is lower towards the ground. So I'm going to work against gravity. So as you inhale, lifting the knee up, you're going to feel your outer hip. Exhale, rotators engaged. And then as you exhale, slowly release the knee down towards the midline. And keeping the pelvis still, and you can place your hands on your pelvic bones so that there's not going to be a lot of rocking back and forth. I want to make this a pure hip movement. I'm going to contract again, lifting the knee up. My rotators are on board. And then I'm going to let gravity relax my knee down towards the midline. But again, my pelvis stays still. It's going to want to help. Lifting the knee, muscular action, working against gravity. Knee comes to point straight up. And then slowly relax the action. Neutral pelvis. Just very gentle brush strokes. Up. Engaging. And down. Releasing. Back and forth. As always, if there is discomfort, back off. Don't go so deep. But stay acutely mindful of the movement. So it's the movement combined with focused attention that helps us switch these motor neurons back on. Sensory neurons are being heard. And the more we turn on, the more we invite to turn on. but it is easy and gentle, not forced, not strained. And then next time, you bring the knee up so it's up at the top, facing the sky. We're going to toe heel the foot in. And then from here, we're going to do the opposite. We're going to release the knee down to the side. So now we are working the inner groins. So releasing, not forcing, not stretching. So there comes a point where you have to force it to go lower. At that point, lift the knee back up. Again, the pelvis stays still. It's going to want to rock to the right side, and you're going to anchor, staying centered on the sacrum. Again, gentle brushstrokes. Paying attention, up and down. Back and forth. Muscles releasing, muscles engaging. Foot just follows along passive. When the knee's out to the side, I'm on the outside of the pinky side of my foot. And then next time you come up to center, pause. Now just feel the breath here. Was there any change in the breath? Maybe there was, maybe there wasn't. You have your 4 quadrants on the lower half, 4 quadrants on the upper. And then let's slide the legs out. And we'll sense the hips, right hip, left hip. And that again may change how the breath is felt. In your mind's eye, if you were to draw an outline of your right hip and the left hip, do they look the same? I will bend the knee up, both knees. Then we'll walk the left foot off the mat, out to the side, flex the ankle, and then let the knee draw down towards the midline. Just look up that your legs are parallel, as if you can see me here. So when you lower the knee down, it's not crossing over, it's staying in its lane. So my thighs are still parallel, but one is up and one is down. So this is my starting point. And then as I inhale, I'm going to engage to lift the leg up, engaging the external. And then I'm going to let the leg, the weight of the leg, releasing down. So that is my outer hip, my internal rotators. I say that back, my external are releasing. I hope that makes sense. I was going to say, give me a thumbs up if it did, or a thumbs down if it didn't. We good? Good, good. Well, hi ho, to work we go then. And again, working at a pace that is comfortable for you. The two common mistakes that we do with the somatic work is we move too fast and we don't pause enough in between movements. So in this one here, it's a slow, gentle, repetitive. It is the downward movement we want to pay attention to when we're releasing, contracting, traveling up. From yoga, the element of the sacral chakra, the sacral energy, is water, fluidity, malleability, strength. But water can be water, it can be ice, it can be gas, and we are using all those energies in the pelvis. I don't mean that literally, though you could translate that. But we want the subtleties from these tiny little muscles, but we also have really big muscles that are engaged. And the big ones and the little ones, they have to be able to communicate with one another. Malleable, fluid. Next time the knee comes up, we'll toe heel it in. So again, the knees are bent up, maybe, well, it's wherever it's comfortable for you. So my heels are pretty snug in, but you take them wherever it feels good. And we're going to do the external rotation. Again, you can keep a mind on the sacral awareness as you lower the leg down, taking it back up to the top, and then releasing it down again. Gentle brush strokes. Gentle and easy. And then next time you come up, slide the legs out again. Pause. Pausing, sensing. Sensing and feeling very closely related, but we know there's a different layer to it because we also talk about feelings emotionally, but it comes from, again, that ability to sense what is going on. We're going to roll over onto the right side. Support your head. That can be with your arm. It can be with a pillow, with a blanket. You're going to bend out the bottom leg, but you're going to keep the top leg straight. So bottom leg is bent up. It's just a little easier to balance with the bottom leg bent up. Bottom leg bent up. There it is. So as you draw ear, shoulder, hip, and foot, one straight line. Take your hand to your outer left hip. And then staying centered on your right hip. You can feel a hip bump, your hip bone. We're going to lift the left leg up without moving the hip, not moving the hip, just a pure leg lift. So it's about parallel to the ground. And let's count that down from 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. Let go completely. And we'll do that again. Lifting the leg, but the hips, sorry, the pelvis is not moving. So this is again a pure hip movement. Pelvis not moving, so you're feeling that same bump on the side. Let's count it down again. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. Letting go. So we'll add a little friend to this, which will be your lower obliques. So we'll take another breath in and lift left leg. So we'll come up to the height that we were playing with, but now we are also going to draw the hip towards the ribs. So you're going to contract. You can feel the contraction in your waist. Now keep drawing the tailbone down towards your heel as you slowly release down from 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and letting go. Let's take a buffer breath. And we'll repeat. On an in-breath, lifting the legs. So first, the outer hip muscles are doing the job. And then we send in the helpers, contracting the waist. Keep the tailbone lengthening down. So you feel a little bit of tone in the lower abdomen. And 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. Letting go. From here, let's roll over onto our back again. And just pause. Right hip, left hip. And we'll roll over onto the left side. And I'll spin about. So again, straight line, tailbone towards the heel. And if this is bothersome to your outer, to your hip, then slide an extra blanket or pillow underneath it. So first, just the hip movement. You can take your hand to the outer hip. You can feel the muscles. This is your gluteus minimus is helping out here. So lifting the leg, and gluteus medius, our outer hip stabilizer. So lifting it up. The minute you begin to move, rock the pelvis, stop. And we'll take it down on 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. Everything relaxes. And we'll repeat. On an in-breath, lifting the leg, muscles contracting, and 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and done. Letting go. And then we can move the hand to the waist. But we also have the QLs, quadratus lumborum, and we're using those here too to help facilitate hip hikers. Is their name among friends. So let's first lift the leg. Wood fires. They're helping out a little, aren't they too? Once the leg has hit the height available, now let's contract sideways. So you're feeling back muscles firing. That's the QLs. Boy, do they get us in trouble a lot. And let's slowly release on 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, done. Buffer breath. And we'll repeat. Leg first, lifting. And again, remember, only as high as is comfortable, no pain, no strain. Sometimes we do these movements in our minds. Once we have reached the height, we'll contract waist and the QLs. And let's count them down on 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. Letting go. And let's come on to our abdomen. This is now time that we talk to the big guns. So you can take one hand, place on top of the other. You may like to turn your head to one side. You can have your forehead resting on the back of the hands. This will be all about the glutes. You may like to have a blanket under the shoulders or chest. Now drawing the hips towards the floor, keeping the toes down, but lifting the knees. Lift the knees so you feel the quads are engaging. Quads are engaging. Robert, does this bother your neck or your shoulders? Okay, just want to make sure you're okay. And then drawing the hips towards the floor, lifting the right leg up. Lift the right leg. Keep the knees straight. Glutes turned on. And slowly from 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. Letting go. So the glute has a helper. It's a hamstring. They are both hip extensions, extenders, if you will. And sometimes a hamstring fires first. So that's why I'm having you start by lifting the knees up, pressing the hips down. Lift the knees, but press the hips down. That disengages the hamstring. Take a breath in, and when you're ready, lifting the left hip, leg, not hip. Lift the left leg up. Keeping the knee firm, and 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Relax the glutes. Then we'll play a little bit differently. We're going to bend the right knee. Foot parallel to the sky. Draw the hips down. And now we're going to lift the right knee. Lift the right knee. How does this feel different? Hips pressing down, but knee is lifting. And 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. Now, keep the knee bent. Keep the knee bent up. We'll count the foot down as well. Remember, the hamstring is a hip muscle too. So counting it down from 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. Keep the hips pressing down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Buffer breath. We're going to repeat that one more time on the right. So bending up your right leg. Feel the hamstring, as that's what it's doing. That's the muscle saying, I got this. No problem. So right leg bending up. And hips pressing down. Hips pressing down. First, we're going to lift just the knee up. Hips pressing down, knee up. And 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and done. Does your hamstring want to help out? So keep your right knee bent up, and we will take it home. So that was the knee lifted, but keep the foot up is what I'm saying. I can see I'm confusing you, Sally. I'm sorry. And from 12, 11, 10, 9, keep the hips pressing down. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Letting go. When the hamstring gets overly excited about the extension job and the glute starts to check out, back pain often follows. Sometimes this is called the lazy butt syndrome. Let's take care of things on the left side. So we'll bend the left knee up about 90 degrees behind the knee. Press the hips down. So first part is just talking to the glutes. So press the hips down and lift left knee up. So it's not a big lift, I know. And we'll lower down 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and knees down. And we'll lower the foot down. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. Hips are still pressing down. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. Buffer breath. And one more time. Bending the left leg. Pressing the hips down. And lift the knee. Left glute is on. It's like an upside down one-legged bridge pose. From here, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. And slowly from 12, we begin to lower the foot down. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and done. Breathing in and out. Into the low back, into the sacrum. And then bend up your feet. So the toes tucking under and creeping towards the nose. Let's take the forehead onto the back of the hands. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, draw the heels back. Lift the head, lift the heart, legs are firm, hips pressing down. And then lengthen the belly button up towards the spine, towards the heart. Towards the heart. As you're dragging the skin a little bit, and we relax down. Relaxing down. Let it go. And we're going to find our way onto our back. Because we still have a little psoas work to do. Draw the knees in and take the legs to the sky. And take your pinky fingers into your front hip creases. So if this is uncomfortable with the hamstrings a little tight and the legs are being pulled out, bend the knees so it feels like you can be right on the sacrum. Right on the sacrum. So our hip flexors, again, that would be part of the psoas, along with the quadricep, or the psoas in particular. They just get so overworked. So here, allow your knees to relax down towards your chest. So the weight of the legs are going to relax the thighs towards the belly. Now the knees can bend because that will take the hamstring out of it. So allow the knees to bend. Keep your back along on the floor as the knees relax down towards the chest and the heels down towards the tush. Move as slow as you can. It's a super slow movement. Knees are bending, thighs traveling towards the chest. Or the thighs coming to rest on the lower abdomen. Breathing, softening the front groins. Breathing and softening. With each out breath, be a sense of melting the front groins. Allow them to soften, to deepen into the body. Breathing in and out. And then one at a time, let's take the feet to the floor. And slide the right leg out. Let it relax. So both feet are down, right leg slides out. And relax so the foot flops out to the side, but keep your left leg bent up. Keep the left leg bent up. That will help us keep our pelvis anchored so it's not going to go wuggle wuggle. Take your hands behind your head. And then inhale, arch. Exhale, flatten the low back. And then lift the right leg 3, 4, maybe 5 inches up. So it's not a big lift, but you can feel the low back. So now slowly lower the right leg down as you are lengthening it out, lengthening it out. And letting it come down, all the way down. Once it's down, so I'm not going to count down the psoas. I'm going to let you monitor that. It is a magnificent muscle and one that we don't want to force. We want subtlety in the psoas, not a hard bicep or a six-pack. This muscle has the quality of your tongue, that subtleness, but still incredibly strong. Let's take a breath in again, gently arch your low back. And exhale, we're going to flatten. So now the abdominis transversus, your corset is holding the spine down, and we can lift the leg up. Lift the leg up again. Maybe 3, 4 inches. Sally, hey, come down lower. So it's not a big lift. You're 3 to 4 inches away from the floor. Once we take it up more than half a foot or 6 inches, we begin to take in the quad as a hip flexor. So we want to keep it right in the psoas. And then slowly lower and lengthen, lower and lengthen, lower and lengthen. Let it come all the way down. Once the leg is down, relax. So while we're here, we're going to just tend to the upper fibers of the psoas, not the psoas. It intersects along with the diaphragm, remember, on T12. So when we curl the head and the top of the shoulders up, that's the part that we get. So one more time, let's arch first. And exhale, flatten the low back, lift the leg, and then curl the head and just the top of the shoulders up. Keep the low back pressing down. And then slowly, we're going to lengthen head away from foot as we lower down. Keep the low back down. Head may come down first. I know it does for me, not to strain my neck. And then the leg comes down. And take my arms out as I slide my left leg out. I just want to feel. Breathing in and out. Draw an outline of your right side and draw an outline of your left side. How does your brain see your body right now? And also notice the breath in the quadrants, the lower quadrants, the upper, the front, and the back. Let's bend the right leg up, take the hands behind the head. So the psoas is the muscle that connects trunk to legs. And it does so by traveling through the pelvis. Inhale, arch. And exhale, flattening. Lifting the left leg. Hold the belly down. Again, 3, 4, maybe 5 inches. And slowly keep the low back down as you lengthen, 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 lengthen. Lowering. Letting go. Breathing in and out. And let's do that again. Arching. In breath. Exhale, flatten. And lifting. And slowly, slowly lengthen out from the pelvis as you're growing your legs longer as you release down. Once down, let go completely, like your whole body is just singing hallelujah. And this time, if it feels okay, we'll add the head for the top part of the fibers, but you may choose to skip that and just do the leg, or you may say, you know what, I've had enough. I'm not going to do anymore. On the inhalation, arching first. Exhaling again, flattening. Leg, head, top of the shoulders. Low back is down. And then slowly lengthening out from the middle. But holding the middle down and anchored. Shoulders, head, and left leg all comes down. Let's slide the right leg out. Pause. Breathe. And let's draw the legs together. Interlace the fingers. And we want to bank it now. Let's take the arms overhead, consolidate the legs, press out through the heels, tailbone to the heels. And switch to the other side. And extending, lengthening, consolidate. And we'll take the arms up just enough to relax and we'll just pause. Pausing. for 6 breaths. Deep, satisfying, fulfilling breaths. How does your mind see your body? If you draw an outline now. And after the 6th breath, I invite you to maybe wiggle fingers and toes. You'll bend up the knees. Rocking the knees gently from side to side, inviting the complete rollover onto your side. And we'll take the top hand, pressing it down, helping us sitting all the way up. And then we'll close with Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti Om, the mantra for peace. But it also helps stimulate our vagus nerve, which is connected to the psoas, and that means it's connected to our legs and our hips. May there be peace in our world, our dear earth that works so hard to keeping us alive. May there be peace in our lives, and may there be peace inside. Let's take a deep breath in. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti Om. Thank you. Namaste.